Hi, everybody. Thank you for checking out our video here. It's been a little while since we shot a video, and we were kind of on hiatus during the COVID shutdown here. It kind of put us back a little bit, and we were trying to get these out every single month, and we ended up just kind of operating in survival mode there for a while, just trying to take care of all of our clients and everything during this time, and office kind of business rolling. So we're getting back into it here. And we want to basically talk about today is 4 things you wish you knew about your motorcycle insurance before you have a claim. So I'm with my co-host here, Marianne. Normally she's sitting next to me, but now she is, we're socially distanced. She's at home and I'm in the office. Marianne likes working from home so much, she decided to stay there for a little bit longer.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I mean, when we say social distancing between you and I, we're miles apart instead of just our, 10 feet away from each other. We're definitely more than probably 5 miles apart. So that's really social distancing, I guess.
We're taking it to the extreme.
Yeah, you got that right.
No face mask required with this distance.
That is true. That is true. Yep.
So we want to talk about, things you wish you knew you had, things you wish you knew about your insurance before you have a claim, because really that is the best time to understand your insurance, because nobody is ever happy after a claim when they find out that they don't have the proper coverage. And so motorcycle insurance, it's one of those things where people want to get it cheap, and we understand that. It's a toy. It's not your primary vehicle. You've already spent a lot of money on your bike, and you don't drive it all year round, so you really don't want a big additional cost related to your motorcycle for the expense of riding it. But motorcycle insurance is relatively inexpensive because you aren't driving it all the time. And I just find that, if you look at your coverages and look at what you have, you might end up paying a little bit more, but we're talking about maybe tens more, 10, 20, $50 more.
Small amounts, yes.
But in the end, it's well worth it. If you have a claim, it could save you thousands of dollars.
Sure.
So the number one thing that I think of that people wish they knew before they had a claim is accessory coverage. So most insurance policies will give you a built-in amount of accessory coverage, typically $3,000. If you ever have been around, you go down to Charlotte Beach and you see all the motorcycles parked down there in the summer, very rarely will you just see a stock bike.
Right.
They all have accessories on them. And accessories, I mean, it's anything from the bags you put on your bike, the lights, if you put any additional lights on, if you put any audio equipment on there for radio, Bluetooth, any additional gauges. The one that always got me that I really didn't think about as an accessory per se is the paint job. So you will see beautiful paint jobs on these motorcycles. They did not come out of the factory that way. And that can be very expensive, those paint jobs. So that's one of the things, like, hey, if you have a custom paint job, make sure you are adjusting your accessory coverage to account for that. If you go over that $3,000, your insurance policy is not going to cover any additional accessory coverage. So essentially just makes your deductible that much higher on it. So, people love tricking out their bikes, for it. I'm going to try to share my screen here because I got some examples of bikes. Let me see if I can pull one up for us.
Yeah, you do. You never think about paint jobs as being an accessory. You always think of an accessory being another object or something that's on your bike. But yeah, that's a perfect example.
Yeah, so this is a Honda Shadow Bobber. You can see the top is the before, which is a beautiful bike, but the bottom after, I mean, it looks like a completely different bike.
Yeah.
I mean, it has different wheels, has a different gas tank, has a different fender, seat. All that stuff is additional accessories that wouldn't be covered under your standard policy.
Especially the chrome. A lot of chrome on that after bike.
You got it. Yeah. I think I have another example here. This would be my son Jack's favorite because this is the post-apocalyptic custom Harley. So Jack's big into zombies and everything right now, so he would love it. So the top is the before and the after. I mean, you can just see, I mean, it looks like a completely different bike. Same thing, different fenders, gas tanks different. It's got a guard on the front, different handlebars. All those different add-ons add up. And it, you know, you got to make sure that you stay within that $3,000 or buy the increased coverage. And like I said, it's not that much more. If you go from $3,000 to $5,000, you know, we're talking tens of dollars, not hundreds of dollars to increase that coverage. The last one I have here is the paint job. So that's what I'm talking about. That is a detailed,
that's a paint
beautiful paint job. I don't know if I could pull off riding that motorcycle, you know, but some people can.
Look at the wheels though too. I think that's the other thing that I noticed on that bike is the wheels. Those are phenomenal wheels. Those are nice.
Yeah.
Chrome wheels on that. And I don't think that was purchased that way either.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you will get a custom built bike, but even those, like, you got to make sure that any add-ons that you get for those, that you're accounting for in your insurance policy. Because you hate to have a claim and not have all that additional amount that you've invested in your bike covered. You know, so kind of the next thing that you wish you knew you had covered before you have a claim is your travel trailer. So if you have a trailer, if you're taking your bike to trips, long trips, because you're not riding it, or if you got an RV, a lot of people are buying RVs this time of year because of the COVID. They'll put a trailer on the back of their RV to haul their bike. You want to make sure that that is covered because if that's in an accident, you're not going to have any coverage for it. So unless you've specifically added it to your motorcycle policy.
And again, that's a very, very inexpensive coverage as well. Very inexpensive.
It is. It's a simple thing to add on, and it doesn't cost a lot of money. And if you have a claim, you're going to be much happier. So those are kind of our first two. Marianne, what do you got for the next two?
Well, when I think of bikes, I always think of the big bike week. And everybody always goes on vacation, or they take their trips, whether they're going to Daytona, Lacona, or Sturgis, or even Myrtle Beach. They're going on vacations and they're going out for bike week. And again, it's just like going in your car or travel trailer or camper. You might have interruptions. There may be something that happens and you're in an accident. So they do offer trip interruption coverage, and that can provide coverage for food, for lodging, while you're up, or even while your vehicle's being repaired. So that's a great thing to think about having as well, especially if you are going on the long trips for bike week or whatever. The one clue though, you do have to be over 100 miles away from home in order to have the trip interruption. So again, if you're just going to Wegmans and you have, an issue or whatever, trip interruption is not going to cover you for that. So you do have to be over 100 miles away from home in order to
stay overnight, right?
Yeah. Again, I mean, some of the coverages I'm looking at here is that, you get $100 for lodging, $50 for alternative transportation. That's the other thing. Just like if you need to rent a car, even just to take from point A to point B. And again, they also provide you $50 a day for food. And again, this coverage is something else that, if you do take a lot of trips, it's a great coverage to have. And again, very inexpensive. Not a lot of money for that as well. Now, this is the one when Rhett made a comment about accessory coverage. The one that I think is one of the most important is the medical payment coverage. That to
probably
me is
one of the most misunderstood as well.
And right, you're right. This is probably one of the most misunderstood coverages as well. Again, a lot of people in New York think that we've got the old no fault rules, and got your personal injury protection. And that would cover for anybody in your car or the driver that are injured and need medical coverage. Well, that is not the same on a motorcycle policy. Unfortunately, they don't provide that. So if you do need any kind of medical coverage, you do need to have medical payment coverage on your motorcycle. That's going to provide you with coverage for anybody who is injured on your bike, or you as a driver as well. This coverage is definitely more of an but it is an expensive coverage. People don't realize how much this is. But a lot of people say, well, I've got health insurance. Okay, you do have health insurance, and as hopefully most of us do, but a lot of times people have a very high deductible on their health insurance as well. So
high co-pays.
Co-pays as well. So just to even have like $5,000 worth of coverage, medical payment coverage, that could, alleviate a lot of the cost for you for your deductible as well. So I think everybody should have medical payment coverage of at least $5,000. It is an expense. But again, if you don't have health insurance, or if you have a high deductible, or the other thing is you have to think about, sometimes you let a friend drive your bike who hasn't been working or is out of work or is unemployed, and they don't have health insurance and they don't have a car and they get injured. Well, they're not going to be covered at all underneath your bike. So,
and that's the thing. Maybe when you buy your motorcycle insurance at the time, you have health insurance, but at the point where you have the claim, maybe you're in between jobs. And you don't have it, and you never thought to call and update your motorcycle policy to get that coverage, you'd be out of luck. And like Marianne says, that is probably one of the more expensive coverages to get, because if you're in an accident on a bike, you're going to have medical bills.
Yes.
And they know that, and they charge for it, but it's worth it.
Yes, for sure. Yep. What are different ways we can save money on your a motorcycle policy?
So
there are a couple ways.
That's right.
There are some ways.
There are. We wanted to make sure that you were covered, right? So we gave you the 4 things that you wish you knew before you had an accident. So now, and all those cost you some additional money on your premium. So now let's figure out a way to reduce that premium for you. Mm-hmm. So we always like to give you that bonus content because we want to make sure that you're getting the best value for your dollar. So one of the easiest things to do is a winter layup. Everyone knows we're in Western New York here. Most people aren't driving their bikes in the winter. So one of the main companies we use is Progressive. They have a winter layup program. Essentially anytime between September 1st and December 31st, you can call them, notify them, say, hey, I'm not riding my bike anymore for the season. You can basically, I believe it's a 90-day period, you get to pick that window that you're not going to be riding and say, okay, I want my coverage turned back on either March 1st or April 1st. What they'll do is they reduce all your coverages. So your liability goes down to the state minimum, which doesn't matter because you're not riding, so there's no exposure there. They remove the collision coverage from your bike, and they just keep comprehensive on there. So that's the important one. When your bike is sitting in your garage or a storage unit, you want to still have coverage for if it's stolen or if it catches on fire. Those are probably the 2 big things that you would be worried about kind of in the winter. And the nice thing about that is, basically, if you paid your policy in full, they're going to refund you the money back for that period of time. When it kicks back on in March or April, they're just going to send you a bill for the updated premium, and you're ready to go. Now, if you had selected April 1st to turn your coverage back on, but we get a nice day in March and you want to ride your bike, just give us a call, right? You just call the company, say, hey, I want to turn my coverage on now. They will do it for you. So, but otherwise it was automatically kick on the date that you selected. And it's a nice way just to keep consistent insurance coverage. This way you don't have to cancel your insurance, then start it again, sign new application, do a down payment. It kind of takes all that administrative work out of it by just doing the winter layup program.
And you don't have to turn your plates in either. A lot of people always think that they have to turn their plates in. And this is one of the great things about having the motorcycle. You do not have to turn the plates into the DMV as well. So that's actually, you could just keep it on there, and when you're ready to go, you could just go. One other thing I wanted to point out too for saving money is that a lot of people think that, and if you take a defensive driving course on your auto, that does also apply to your bike as well. So that's something to keep in the back of your mind. If you also have a car that you drive, all year round or whatever, when you take the defensive driving course, it will apply to your motorcycle policy as well.
Exactly. Yeah. And then another thing is just make sure you're getting all your discounts. When we put in the VIN number for a motorcycle, it pre-fills a lot of information about the bike. Some things it doesn't is like anti-lock brakes, if you have anti-theft on it. So, I mean, those are two things, like if you know you have them, make sure you let your insurance company or insurance agent know so they check that box so you get that discount for it. The other big thing is, these motorcycle policies aren't a huge expense, but if you can pay in full, you're going to get a discount there as well. I'm a big proponent of kind of paying in full to get those discounts. It's an easy way just to save some money on the insurance. It just takes a little bit of budgeting on your end to take advantage of that, but in the end, it helps you greatly. Did I miss anything on that, Marianne?
I don't think so. I think we're all good. But
Yeah.
again, I think these are great tips. We like to offer tips to everybody out there and to our clients especially on different ways to save money and to make sure that you are properly covered. Because again, we don't know what you have and what type of bike you have. So it's up to you to tell us exactly what you have.
Yeah. So I hope you learned something. I hope you've learned something before you've had a claim. And you're not watching this video and be like, that's exactly what happened to me. I wish I knew that.
Yeah, beforehand.
Because I've had a few people come in the office and talk about like medical payments coverage, not understanding it, thinking that the other company was wrong and how they handled it and what they did. And then I basically explain it to them and says, no, it's exactly how it is, that you have to buy medical payment coverage on your bike separately. It's not automatically built in.
Right.
So hopefully these tips will help you in the event of a claim, and then our bonus content will help save you a little money to offset some of those increased costs if you decide to do it.
Awesome.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, you guys. Great. Have a great day.